Welcome back to Breakfast with Bob, Championship Edition. We're here at Challenge Atlantic City, the inaugural Challenge Atlantic City. Second place today, but a phenomenal race. Scott DeFilippis. So, Scott, you're a local boy. And Normandy Beach?
Normandy Beach.
Normandy Beach. What did it feel like to be racing? You had 15 family members out there. I'm sure they were cheering for you the whole time. You went into the lead at one point.
Yeah.
You're probably thinking, you're a Cinderella story, local boy.
I was really thinking I had it, to be honest.
Yeah, I bet you did.
I really thought, you know what, I'm gonna win this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great to have everybody here, and if I come back next year, have another crack.
Yeah.
Family will be here.
Exactly.
If not. The only other time we'll get family like that is if I go to Hawaii, and then they'll all want to come.
Of course they want to come to Hawaii.
Everybody wants to go to Hawaii.
Yeah, they don't want to go to Toledo. They want to go to Hawaii. Hey, what's going on? Why?
That's right.
And we want you to bring us there, Scott. Yeah, you need to ante up and bring the whole family. So take us through this. I mean, you've growing up not far from here, having a world-class race, nationally televised. It's going to be nationally televised. The show is going to be amazing. You got Peter Henning and some of the greatest cinematographers around that are capturing this. For you, seeing that happen and your home turf, pretty cool?
Pretty cool, and I told a couple of the reporters, you see when a challenge or an Ironman comes into a town or a city, right?
Yeah.
It has the potential to change the face of the city.
Right, yes.
And Atlantic City needs that.
It does.
So imagine if some of the locals get into triathlon.
Yeah.
And that would be great. You look at Wanaka, New Zealand, it's this tiny little town. Challenge went there, and now everybody in the city in a town.
It changes things.
They get involved with the race, so
right.
That'd be great to see people from D.C., Philly, Atlantic City area, take up triathlon in some way, shape, or form.
What's always tough is an inaugural race. People will give lip service and say, "Oh, I want to support you. I want to support you." But I think most people stand back and go, "Let them do it once and see how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Before we commit." So, as a guy who committed early on and did this race, what did you think of it from swim to bike to run, just from an operations perspective?
Perfect. Yeah, it was perfect. Pretty flawless.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'd love to see the swim in the ocean.
Yeah.
I know logistically it's a problem.
Yeah.
But
maybe for the pros, because the age groupers, that might be scary, but for the pros, that might be a cool thing.
I said to Vigo, why don't you have the pros go off at noon and finish at 8 o'clock at night?
On the boardwalk.
On the boardwalk.
How cool would that be? That is a great idea. I love it.
Have a swim in the ocean.
And then everybody's finished.
Yep.
Right? They're done. Well, or a lot of them are done by 8 o'clock at night. And then they're all lined up here watching you guys race. Yeah. That is a great idea. You should be an event director. What the hell?
I suggested the same to Mr. Messick, Andrew Messick. I said, why don't you start the pros at noon in Hawaii?
Exactly. See? What the hell? You're in the wrong business. You should be an event creator.
I stole it off of Brett Sutton, to be honest.
Oh, is that his idea?
His idea, but I've run with it and really think it needs to happen one day.
Now, did you hear from Brett after this?
I haven't.
I'm sure.
I reckon if I'd have won today, he would have sent a tweet out and said something like, "The animal got his win," and I know he's in Switzerland, and he had a couple athletes racing today, and I'm sure he's proud, but he also knows that if I'd run what I can run, I had it.
Well, because you've run what, 242, 243?
243, yeah.
Yeah, so you've run 243. If you run something like, of course, it's hot.
It's pretty hot today.
But you seem to do well in the heat. I mean, you've trained in the Philippines. You've trained in hot conditions.
Yeah, as I've started skipping winter, I've gotten better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Tell me the genesis of the animal. Where'd that come from?
Well, it came from Brett. One of my boyhood idols was the great Rod Dixon, and I'm an old school running background.
Who had more range than Rod Dixon?
Yeah.
You look at his 1,500, and then you look at his 5,000, 10,000, and 208.59 marathon.
Yeah, incredible.
Rod's a very close friend, and he's just my favorite guy on the planet.
He's got this famous quote. I'm sure you've heard it. All I want to do is train like an animal and drink beer. So I messaged Brett one day. I'd done it was my birthday. I remember the day. It was my birthday, and I said, Brett, I'm training like an animal. I did 100 hundreds, and I did 10 by a mile.
Wait, you did 100 hundreds in the pool?
100 hundreds in the pool, and then 10 by a mile. That was my birthday present to myself.
When Brett Sutton goes, wow, that's a long workout, you know that means something.
Well, he wouldn't give me any credit. He said, we'll see what kind of an animal you are when you turn up to camp, because this was January, and we were getting ready to go to camp in February. So I turn up the camp, and he says, "Yep, you're an animal. You're about a squirrel."
Oh!
So every camp, the animal got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then finally, after I broke through in Switzerland, he wrote a really nice piece, and he said, "The animal finally ran like a lion."
Ooh.
And so ever since then, my nickname's been the animal, and it was partly because of that story, but also because I idolized Rod Dixon, and I have a fondness for beer, like him.
Yes.
So, and I love to train hard.
Sometime we'll over a few beers, I'll tell you some Rod Dixon
That'd
stories.
That'd be great.
And Rod Dixon, John Walker, and Steve Prefontaine together training. That's a story you'll enjoy hearing. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Those are the good old days.
Exactly. So when this race, there was a point there where after the end of the bike, you ran your way into the lead, right? You were in the lead, and at that point, I don't know how far into the run it was, but when you caught Freddie, did you feel like, okay, this is where I want to be, or did you feel that you maybe worked too hard to get there, or maybe made up too much ground too fast?
It was all in my legs. It was the pounding that got me.
The pounding, even on the boards.
Yeah, I don't know. It just it hit me at 28K.
Yeah.
And just there was nothing I could do. It wasn't my breathing. I don't think my heart rate was too high.
No.
I was comfortable clicking off 610, 610, 610. I went through the half in 119. Thought this is exactly where I want to be.
Wow.
But it was all on the pounding.
So
know, that
even
sledgehammer feeling, the sledgehammers in my legs, that's what I had.
But it's interesting, when I looked at the boards, I'm thinking, this is sort of like running an indoor track, and guys like running the indoor track.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Did it feel like it was a lot of pounding, or did it feel like there was cushy, and maybe almost like sometimes when you're running in soft grass, it's almost like you're working too hard?
No, it flowed nicely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just your legs just felt pounded.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when you caught him, and then Freddie, you held the lead for a few miles.
Yeah, I think I had the lead from about 12 to 16, and then he came by me again, and I thought I gapped him pretty good.
Yes.
And I thought about putting in a bit of a surge, but I pulled back, and then he pulled up next to me and then took off and put 2 minutes in pretty quick, and I think we held that gap.
It pretty much stayed.
Maybe part of it was I needed a bit of energy in the system. I came around the last 2 miles. I picked it up a bit, but nothing screaming home.
Do you know what your marathon time was at this point? I don't even know.
It wasn't great, 2:53, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that. Well, I mean, you know that if you'd run your normal 250,
even
got
248. Yeah, 250. Sure. Yeah.
So what's the rest of your season look like?
I think I'm going to go back to Penticton.
Oh, nice.
I'm kicking the idea of doing the Boulder Ironman. Possibly. It's a quick turnaround. I heard Freddie's doing Ember, man.
Yes.
Phenomenal race.
I've heard it's amazing race.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
France.
Yeah. And the race director is a lovely guy. Lovely guy.
But Boulder, so that's a full.
It's a full. It's in early August. I'll let Siri decide,
Yes.
I think I'll let her tell me what's best. Maybe I can get in a couple 70.3s and then go back to Penticton. I really want to support that race.
Penticton.
Yeah, it's got so much history, as you know,
Yes.
and I don't want to see it die, and I'd like to do whatever I can to help keep it going.
So how is it balancing the Ironman, the challenge? I mean, there's a lot of politics in the sport. Is it?
Yeah, I mean,
as an athlete, sometimes you guys get sort of stuck in the middle.
Well, look, what I love about challenge is they always pay top 10.
Yes.
The development side of the sport is near and dear to my heart because I came from nothing, and one of my first prize purses was 7th at Wanaka.
Right.
And that got a plane ticket to the other side of the world, which paid for a trip to in Australia with Brett.
Right.
So that kept me going another 3 months. And we need more of that. Ironman puts on some unbelievable events. I said Ironman France is probably behind Alpe d'Huez.
Right.
My favorite race.
Alpe d'Huez. Chrissy always raved about Alpe d'Huez.
Such an unbelievable race.
Wow.
Yeah. But Ironman France is very similar. I love climbing.
Yep.
So I'd like to go back there sometime. But, yeah, there's room for both. There's 2,000 professionals now, and that's not including
2,000 professionals.
Sure. I think there's about 1,500 on the WTC list. There's probably a couple more hundred.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
That aren't racing their circuit, but there's room for 2, and competition is good, right? It's not a bad thing.
I agree. I think it's important for a sport to be successful. You need more than one brand.
Yeah.
And I love both brands. I think both brands are great.
I'd love to see the professionals get a bit organized and be able to take in our own prize money and say we want to have we want to put money in these events and include challenge and include WTC.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Also put some of your own prize money in.
I got another idea.
Well, let's go.
And actually,
nobody's watching. You can say it.
Dee Dee Griesbauer has volunteered. When she retires, she's going to take it over. Why don't we get together and go after our own sponsors?
As a group.
As a group.
I'll tell you one of the limitations of that is I remember the AVP, Association of Volleyball Professionals. Sure. And that sport was hot as a pistol after the Olympic. It came into the Olympics in '96, and the sport was on fire, and everything was going great. And then what happened is they started selling their own sponsors, and then the athletes would sell against their own sponsors. So someone like you had Gatorade as a sponsor of the tour, and one of the athletes, I won't say his name, but it was Adam Johnson, would go and sell Powerade. And would be wearing a Powerade towel like during the timeouts. Yeah. And so then it's like they were cannibalizing themselves.
Right.
Rather than working together and understanding we are the Association of Volleyball Pros. So it's difficult because at the end of the day it's you and your family, right? Mm-hmm. It's you care about the other pros, but do you care enough where you're going to be out to, hey, I want to make sure everybody gets dollars, or do I want to make sure that I take care of myself? So it's a toughie.
Sure, it's a dicey.
Toughie. It is dicey. But the great thing is that it's dialogue like that is always important, and that's what makes changes. So you're thinking Canada, Penticton, and now is this a Coney year for you?
I think next year.
2015.
Yeah,
what you're thinking about.
I think so. Siri really wants me to have a crack, so we're going to go and check it out. Carrie and I are going to go with the team and support them and start a kickoff. We'll see what happens if WTC makes some changes, because they might change the point system.
Sure.
But if they don't change the point system, I'll do a fall Ironman and start
some points for the following year.
Points for next year.
So similar to Brett, Siri has a reputation as doing really well with women, right? And as a coach.
Yeah.
And for you, you've had success both with Brett and now with Siri. How to talk about the two of them as coaches? Now, you haven't been with Siri that long.
Yeah, they're different. Siri works as hard.
Okay.
She works as hard. A lot more speed.
Yeah.
Brett is, for the men, all about strength. And he's a hard one. He can be hard.
Right.
Heart of gold.
Right.
He'll tell you how it is. And Siri is such a lovely woman.
Yes.
Super nice.
Yes.
At 7 in the morning, she's doing
just
jumping
bubbly.
jacks.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been out there and seen her,
Yeah.
So, she's an incredible woman. Gosh, I want to coach one day, and I look at her and I'm like, oof.
That's what you want to be.
Can I do that?
Can I be 24/7 of energy like that?
It really is,
and positive, upbeat?
Yeah. So she's a special woman, and I'm really enjoying my time with her. And hopefully today, we've sort of taken a step forward. And people say she can't coach men. Well, we're making progress.
Love that. Hey, Scott, congratulations on a great race.
Thank you.
I love the fact that you're thinking beyond yourself, that you're thinking about, hey, how do I make this race better? How do we make our sport better? How do we get new people in? How do we support races that maybe other pros aren't supporting?
Yeah, well, we have to, because there's kids coming up. There's kids out there that watch today, and they're the next generation.
Exactly.
And if we don't look after them, they're the future. Who's going to look after them, right? Yeah, and I pay attention quite a bit to tennis, and Leighton Hewitt's he's very into the development and side of things, and he's a bit of an idol. I look up to him because of that.
Right.
So I'm obviously not a superstar like Leighton Hewitt, but I certainly want to look after the next generation.
Love it. Thanks so much for taking time, especially
Thank you.
right after a hard race.
Appreciate
it. Always great. Scott DeFilippis has been our guest. Again, this is Breakfast with Bob Championship at this edition. Second place today, Scott DeFilippis. Hold on, everyone. We will be right back.
Down by the sea, on a blanket with my baby.